Hey guys, been a little while. Did a brew last night on a whim, and it was not a Kiss and Kilo, but a can brew, like a pre-hopped can. Did a Mangrove Jack's Craft Series American Pale Ale, which is pre-dry hopped with a little bit of Cascade. Whether that's New Zealand or US Cascade, don't know. So what I did was I supplemented it, or will supplement it with 50 grams of US Cascade. I'll dry hop it at some stage after the fermentation. So my method for this one is quite cool. So I basically did a 12 litre batch instead of 23 litres. Put the can in. I dumped about 30 grams of Nelson Sauvin in there with the hot water, swished that around, and then topped up with 10 litres of sort of a supermarket bought spring water, you know, the ones in the big plastic container, big jerry can sort of thing. So that way I got my clean water in there as well. So yeah, sort of gave that a bit of a swirl. Didn't use a spoon because spoons are naughty. Don't put things in your fermenter. Oh, it's terrible. I remember the old days where it would say on the thing, you know, mix it around with the spoon, and you'd be like, ooh, yeah, you know, how am I going to sanitize this giant spoon? It's a funny thing, isn't it? Like, you do what works, but for me, it's just a no-no having big things in the fermenter with your wort. It just feels weird. Even just throwing hops in there feels weird for me. So anyway, it's in the fridge. We've got 17.5 degrees Celsius. Says on here that it's at 20 though for some reason. Feels good to the touch. Airlock's just starting to bubble up. It's kind of pushing through, so that's cool. And I've got 12 litres on the dot in there. So basically what that does is, if I can use the whole can in half the recipe, it's kind of the same as using a can in a 23 litre batch and using another can to give you the sugars and more body. So pretty much what I've done is I've gone from that to just like a half-ish recipe. And so one can, half the water, done. So no need for adjuncts, extra sugars and things. You know, you don't have to like boil up a pot with a kilo of sugar and then dump that in. It's nice actually, because what it does is you end up with a hotter brew to start with, but not as hot as you would with like all the extra boiled water with the sugar and stuff. Like, to me that is a pain, and I vaguely remember some issues back in the day with that, and you'd end up with like a 30 degrees Celsius fermenter, because you've just got all this hot water. Even though you've tried to cool some water in the fridge to counter it, it just ends up that way. But anyway, should be cool. Bit of a change for me. Didn't do an all grain this time. As I said, it was a bit of a whim. Did one last night. So yeah, I'll update you guys soon on how it goes. Cheers.